Tonight, we open a file that has remained buried in the forgotten corners of folklore, superstition, and recorded history. A case dismissed as legend, yet too detailed, too consistent, and too disturbing to ignore. This is the story of Jonathan Harker, a young English solicitor who traveled into the mountains of Eastern Europe and vanished. His journals, his letters, his final notes. These are the only surviving pieces of his last known journey. What happened to him inside that isolated fortress? Who, or what, was Count Dracula? And why do so many elements of Harker's disappearance match eyewitness accounts and cultural records going back centuries? This is Episode 1, The Vanishing of Jonathan Harker, a case that begins like a routine business trip and ends in pure nightmare. In 1897, Jonathan Harker was 25 years old, ambitious, intelligent, engaged to a young woman named Mina Murray, and desperate to prove himself professionally. He was assigned a prestigious task to travel to Transylvania and assist a nobleman, Count Dracula, with the purchase of a London estate. To Harker, there was an opportunity for promotion. To everyone familiar with the region, it was a death sentence. Cut to historical context. The land he entered, the Carpathian Mountains, was known for violent storms, wolf packs, and a long history of unexplained disappearances. Local officials recorded shepherds found drained of blood, travelers vanishing on mountain passes, and entire villages abandoning their homes overnight. Yet, Jonathan wrote optimistically in his journal. He saw himself as a rational Englishman, stepping into a world driven by superstition. He couldn't have been more wrong. On his route, Jonathan stopped in small towns, places untouched by modernity. Everywhere he went, locals reacted the same way. They warned him not to continue. Restaurant owners crossed themselves when he mentioned Dracula's name. Old women pressed crucifixes into his hands. Innkeepers refused payment, begging him to stay the night instead of traveling into the mountains. Jonathan described the fear with clinical detachment, but to the villagers, this wasn't folklore. It was survival. The historian, voice actor, in rural Transylvania, the name Dracula was never spoken casually. It carried weight, the way modern people might talk about serial killers. He was believed to be ancient, inhuman, incapable of controlling wolves, storms, and the night itself. Narrator: Jonathan ignored them all. After all, he was an Englishman of the modern world. He believed in logic, contracts, and business. But logic does not protect you from what lurks in the Carpathian wilds. Narrator: On the night of May 4th, Jonathan waited for Dracula's coach. The villagers gathered around him, begging him to stay. Midnight struck. The local driver refused to go farther. He muttered prayers under his breath and abandoned Jonathan at a desolate mountain pass. The wind howled through the trees. The moon hung unnaturally bright. Then Jonathan saw it, a black carriage rolling silently toward him, as if materializing out of the darkness. The horses did not snort. They did not stomp. They moved as if obedient tools stronger than instinct. The driver was tall, unnaturally pale, and silent. He greeted Jonathan by name. Despite never having met him, many researchers believe Jonathan was already being washed long before he arrived. As the carriage sped through the mountains, wolves gathered along the cliffs, dozens of them, following, surrounding. Yet none attacked. They acted like trained sentries. Jonathan would later write, the wolves did not fear the driver. They feared something else. Narrator: Castle Dracula was unlike anything Jonathan had seen. Enormous. Isolated. No servants. No guards. No signs of life. Only one man awaited him. Count Dracula. Eyewitness descriptions. And Jonathan's own entries described the Count as unnaturally pale, unnervingly tall, eyes that did not blink often, cold hands, and an uncanny ability to appear silent-lined doorways. During dinner, the Count ate nothing. He only watched Jonathan, with a kind of hunger that had nothing to do with food. Historian, voice actor. In 19th century forensic psychology, This would be labeled predatory behavior. Dracula wasn't hosting a guest. He was stalking prey. Narrator. Within days, Jonathan realized something horrifying. He was not a guest. He was a prisoner. Every door was locked. Every window barred. The castle had no servants. Dracula did everything himself. Carried luggage, cooked meals, cleaned rooms. But he never appeared in daylight. Jonathan noted that he never heard the Count approach. His footsteps were silent. His shadow moved strangely. And sometimes, he didn't cast one at all. Then came the incident that changed everything. Jonathan witnessed Dracula climbing down the castle wall, head first, like an insect. Human beings do not crawl like that, but predators do. Jonathan wrote, I'm held in this place by a being that is not human. I fear I will not escape alive. Narrator. One night, Jonathan disobeyed orders and explored deeper into the castle. Inside a forbidden chamber, he encountered 3 figures, beautiful women with pale skin and unnatural smiles. Their voices were hypnotic, their intentions unmistakably predatory. They surrounded him, bit his neck, drew blood. At the last moment, Dracula intervened. Furios, territorial. The women protested. Female voice, distorted, eerie. He belongs to us. Dracula replied, deep distorted male. You can have him, after I'm done with him. Researchers interpret this as Jonathan was being kept alive for Dracula's long-term feeding. Narrator. Once Jonathan understood the truth, he attempted escape. He tried windows. Locked. He tried doors. Bolted. He tried the castle walls. Too steep. Too lethal. He was trapped in a fortress designed not to keep intruders out, but to keep victims in. Jonathan's final journal entries become panicked, disorganized, desperate that he wrote, This may be my last entry. If I die, let the world know. Dracula is real. He is preparing to travel to England. God help whoever he chooses next. Shortly after this, Jonathan vanished. Narrator. Once Jonathan understood the truth, he attempted escape. He tried windows. Locked. He tried doors. Bolted. He tried the castle walls. Too steep. Too lethal. He was trapped in a fortress designed not to keep intruders out, but to keep victims in. Jonathan's final journal entries become panicked, disorganized, desperate that he wrote, This may be my last entry. If I die, let the world know. Dracula is real. He is preparing to travel to England. God help whoever he chooses next. Shortly after this, Jonathan vanished. Narrator. The final recorded sighting of Count Dracula in Transylvania comes from a local boatman. He reported delivering several boxes to a ship bound for England. Large wooden crates filled with earth-like material. What the boatman didn't know was that the boxes contained soil from Dracula's crypts, his resting places, his power source. Dracula was moving, hunting, migrating to a land full of fresh victims. And Jonathan Harker was never seen again. Narrator. Jonathan's journals eventually reached his fiancée, Mina. They became part of a larger investigation, one that would uncover the true nature of Count Dracula. But that is a story for episode 2. What happened in the Carpathia Mountains was not a hallucination, not folklore, not superstition. It was a documented case of a predator older than empires, claiming yet another victim. This has been Dracula, Episode 1, The Vanishing of Jonathan Harker. If you're loving this dark and mysterious journey, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more chilling stories and unexplained cases. Your support helps the channel grow.